What's going on, everybody? NBA Finals are here, and we are at the Sports 2.0 Network. We're going to give you an NBA Finals preview. I am Rodney Knuppel, but the guys talking today are going to be Grant Mitchell. Good afternoon, Grant. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm super pumped up for these finals. It feels like it's been forever. Basketball fans were used to getting some action every night, so a few days off feels like a lifetime. I'm ready to get started.
Yeah, and also joining me, Will Reed. How are you today, Will?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day so far. I had an early flight this morning, returning back from Miami back to my home state of Virginia. But there's nothing better than the NBA Finals, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Getting out of South Florida before Elsa comes through, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, Elsa. I love that Central Florida might be getting hampered by Elsa. But anyways, we don't have to talk too much about the weather. But let's talk a little NBA Finals. And sorry if I'm not really the best view here. I don't know, technology's killing me today. But anyways, let's talk NBA Finals. So we've got Bucks at Suns coming into right now. You can get the Suns around 5.5 points. You can look at about 219.5 as your total. Now, we're going to talk about today's game. We're also going to talk about the series. But just a little background here. First of all, the Phoenix Suns have never won an NBA title. I think you guys probably knew that, but they've never won an NBA title. And the Milwaukee Bucks have not won a title since, 1971. I've got two trivia questions. Grant, you're going to go first. I'm putting you on the spot here.
I'm ready.
Your trivia question. Who was
Kareem?
I'll go the other way. Who was the Suns' leading scorer the last time they were
Charles
in the
Barkley.
conference? All right, Will. He gave it away. Who was the Bucks' leading scorer last time they were in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, it's none other than the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or at the time it was Lou Alcindor, but
That's
Kareem
right.
Abdul-Jabbar.
That's right. You guys did your homework today. I didn't even tell you about the trivia question. You guys nailed it. You guys absolutely nailed it. I tried to stump you. It didn't happen. So a little background on that. First of all, the Suns 51-21 during the regular season. They finished second in the Western Conference, while the Bucks went 46-26, third in the Eastern Conference. All right, let's start today. Let's start today's game. First of all, let's start with Will. Who do you like tonight and why? Just tonight's game. We're not going series. Tonight, game one. Who do you like and why? Will, you're up.
I got to go with the Suns. Giannis is coming off of that knee injury. They're now saying that he might play. It's going to be a game time decision for Giannis. But even if he is a game time decision, I don't see him getting a lot of playing time today. Coming off of an injury like that, you got to keep him safe for the rest of the series. It's a long 7-game series. The Bucks have a lot of time to play around with it. So I'm going with the Suns in this one. I'm not sure about that -5.5 line. But I think the Bucks will be able to keep it close, but I think the Suns pull away at home.
What about you, Grant? What are your thoughts on game one tonight?
Yeah, I'm with Will here. I think the Suns are going to get it done in a close one. If I was picking on the spread, I would actually take the Bucks to cover. I got them in early at +6.5 this morning, so it's been bet down, which tells you that the people are thinking with me, what a surprise here. I've got the best bets. But yeah, I like the Suns here. If Giannis plays, I honestly think it'll be a detriment to him and to his team. Will just mentioned he's been upgraded to questionable. If you want to look back, even though they were completely different injuries, look at what happened when the Brooklyn Nets brought back James Harden too quickly. He went from out to doubtful to active in a 2-3 hour span. Comes back in his first game off that injury, gets 5 points, goes I think 0 for 8 from 3, something like that in 40 minutes. I think Giannis will be better than that because that's pretty much as bad as it can get. But at what cost? You saw how well the Bucks played without him, especially in Game 5. So if you bring him back, A, you take a shooter off the court, and B, you're putting a player who relies on his athleticism and is also in a compromised position, and you're asking him to be the leading scorer. It's not going to work. So I would hold Giannis out. Think the Suns get it done in a close one.
I was just going to say the same thing. Great point, Grant. This is a guy. It's not like Giannis can stand in the corner and hit threes on him. I mean, that's not his game. So he's got to get above the rim. He's got to play. He's got to be jumping, leaping all over the place. So you're right, but I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the Bucks tonight. I'm going to take them to win the game straight up. I think Chris Middleton has a great game for the Bucks. Drew Holiday, obviously, big factor tonight. I think Giannis sits and the Bucks win. That's my hot take tonight. I'm going Milwaukee wins the game tonight. I'm certainly taking them at +6, but I like Milwaukee. I just do. I don't know. Why am I wrong here? Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, so I'll go to bat here. Will and I, we like the Bucks, but we hate betting on the Bucks.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes they're pathetic. They play stupid basketball. Like there was a game against the Brooklyn Nets they lost where they had, I think, 74 points in the paint, and they still shot, I think, 39 threes. Like, why would you do that if you're having that much success inside? And then also Chris Middleton, he's kind of the leader of the inconsistency in Milwaukee. He's scored 38 points twice in the past 2 series. He's gone over 44 times. And sometimes he comes out and gives you a 15-point dud. So it's really hard to predict what the Bucks are going to do because they can be the best team in basketball and they can be one of the worst good teams in basketball. So I'm not mad at picking the Bucks to come in here and steal game 1. That's what, they don't have expectation without Giannis. So they're basically getting a free hit tonight.
Will, why am I wrong on picking the Bucks?
I'm going to go with a player reason. That's Mikal Bridges. Chris Middleton hasn't faced a defender like Mikal Bridges in a while. In last series, he wasn't getting the best defensive matchups. I think he was having Cam Reddish on him for a lot of the last game 6. And Cam Reddish is not an equal defender to Mikal Bridges. So I think Mikal Bridges is going to put a lot of pressure on Chris Middleton, especially if Giannis doesn't play. Then he'll be pretty much glued to him all night. I think Chris Middleton will have one of those dud games again. I still think the Bucks keep it close. I like that spread, but Mikal Bridges would be my reason.
Let's go a couple over-unders here, total player props here real quick. I'll let you both talk about these real quick. Tonight's game only, Chris Middleton, over-under 27.5 points. Grant, you're up first.
Oh, man. I just talked about it. I hate betting on the Bucks. And even more than that, I hate betting on Middleton because some nights he looks like he's the next coming of Kevin Durant, and other nights he looks like a guy who just gets paid $2 million a year to stand in the corner and miss shots. I think that with him as the number 1 scorer, but in this situation where there aren't a lot of expectations, I think he'll go over tonight. He could end up scoring 15 points. I don't know. But I'm taking the Bucks to cover, even though I think they're going to lose. So I kind of have to take Middleton to have a good scoring night tonight.
Okay. And Will, where are you going? 27.5 points, over under.
Judging off of what I just said, Mikal Bridges pressure on. I'm gonna go under. I still think the other Bucks players will pull through. Drew Holiday might have a big game today. But yeah, I gotta go under on this one.
All right, let me give this one to you first, Will, because this is your guy. It seems like Mikal Bridges. Over under 1.5 3-point shots made tonight. He is shooting 42.5% from 3 this postseason. Can he hit 2? That's all he needs to make is 2. Can he hit 2 tonight?
These bets are all about shot attempts, and if he's able to get open for these shot attempts. Usually when you have a guy like Mikal Bridges hit 1 3 in a game, that's what he's probably averaging around, probably 1.5. It's because he's taking about 3 shots per game or 3 threes per game. I think he'll take more than that. The Bucks are not a great 3-point defending team, so Mikal Bridges should be able to get to the wing open. I'm going to go over. I think he probably hits around 2 or 3.
Grant, what do you 1.5 over under 3-point shots made tonight?
I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do you one better. I think the first basket of the game is going to be a Mikal Bridges 3 here.
Nice.
I'm stealing from Tanner Kern here, the host of Parlay Power Hour in the mornings with myself and Will. We talked about it. Tanner said he thinks DeAndre Ayton's going to get the first bucket of the night. I said I thought that a play was going to be drawn up for either Ayton or Bridges. Don't quite know who. But I think it's going to be especially important for Phoenix to get their 3-ball going tonight. So I said Chris Paul throws an assist to Bridges in the corner for the first bucket of the game, and then he has 47 minutes to make one more. It's easy.
Yeah, I like it. I need to check what your first basket prop. Do you know what the odds are? I'll have to take a look at that one. What?
I think it was in the neighborhood of plus 500.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. I like that.
It was plus 500, I believe, for DeAndre Ayton, and then plus 1,400 for Mikal Bridges. I think.
Nice.
There you go.
Get paid on that. One more here I'll do for tonight's game only. Chris Paul, 20.5 points, over under. Grant, you go first this time.
Oh man, you're really sticking me with the ones that I don't know. I was doing my hunting through the bets this morning. I saw this one, And my first instinct, which I talked myself out of, but the first thing I thought was under, because in this game one, especially at home where the Suns were so good, and in game one in any series, you want to try to get the other guys going. You don't necessarily want your stars to come out and instantly take over. Maybe close out the game, sure. But I think Chris Paul is going to have less than 10 points at halftime. I think he's going to be up 7-8 assists by the end of the second quarter. So I think Chris Paul goes somewhere between 16 and 18 with a double-double. But I don't think he hits 20. I think Devin Booker absolutely is going to be 30 or over, but Chris Paul under 20.
What about you, Will? You like the, 20.5 for Chris Paul? What do you think?
Well, last time I bet on a points prop for Chris Paul, he absolutely demolished it, and that was over in when he closed out the Clippers with that 41-point game. He had an absolutely stellar second half. I think he was at 10 points in the first half, and then scored like 31 in the third and fourth quarters, and absolutely destroyed my prop bet. So I'm going to go over for this one. Maybe he puts in around 22 and slightly covers it. But I have to take the over because he screwed me last time.
There you go. Rachel wants to know where we're watching the game. I am watching the game from my basement. This is where I will watch every game. I got 3 kids. I got to watch it from the basement. What about you, Grant? Where are you watching tonight's game?
I'm going to have to give you a really boring answer. I'm just going to mirror it onto a monitor and sit in my little cave and exclude myself from the world.
There you go. What about you, Will? Where are you going?
We might have a little get-together with some of my buddies and my pals in my basement as well. So that's where I'll be for the game. Sounds
like none of us are leaving, and it sounds glorious. I love it. Anyways, thank you. Taking the Suns at -195, or are you going to, a little upset with the Bucks in 7, or where are you going here?
This one's tough for me because it all depends on Giannis, in my opinion. But if Giannis can come back healthy, I'm going Bucks all the way. I think they're the better team overall. I think they got the better depth, in my opinion. So I would go Bucks overall, and especially at the odds of +160, you're getting great value there. I would take the Bucks.
Yeah. What about you, Grant?
I think this one's going to a minimum 6. I could very easily see it going 7. They faced off twice in the regular season. Phoenix won both games by 1 point each, which tells you how much is really between it. Giannis, I think, averaged 40 and 12 in those meetings, so his absence is absolutely going to be noticed in these first games. But Milwaukee was 8-5 without him in the regular season and the playoffs. So, I think it is going to be very close. We know who the best players are in this series, but even if Giannis is full strength, I don't think there's a clear-cut best player every night, like you could say with a Durant or a LeBron or a Kawhi, something like that. So I think I'll say we're going the distance, and Phoenix takes it on their home court in Game 7.
Nice, very nice. I'm going to go with Milwaukee. I went with Milwaukee in Game 1. I'm going to go with Milwaukee in the series at +160. Again, I don't know. I don't even think Giannis will play tonight. I'm still taking them tonight. I do think he comes back later in the series, and I like the Bucks. And like Will said, +160 seems like pretty nice value for a series between two teams that I'm not sure which one the better team is. I really don't. I'm not sure which one the better team is. So I'll take Milwaukee at +160. And Grant, you mentioned it the last time they played, these two teams went to overtime. So I think you're looking at 7-game series, and some really good games here. That was back in the end of April. So, not too long ago at the end of the regular season, these two teams played a great game. So do we see any blowouts? What do you guys think?
I think if we do see a blowout, maybe the numbers would tell you it's Milwaukee because of how many three-point shooters they have on their team and the fact they've led the league in three-pointers so far. But it's actually been the Suns, if you exclude what the Bucks did to the Hawks in Game 2. But, the Hawks were a great story, but they were an inferior team. So I don't feel comfortable counting that as a real blowout. But if you look at what the Suns have done, they have dismantled good teams. They beat the Clippers by 27 to close them out. They won by 25 against the Nuggets. They won by 30 against the Lakers. And they've gotten great performances from all of their important players. Jay Crowder has made 6 threes, I think, in 2 games these playoffs. DeAndre Ayton's had 20 and 18 games. Chris Paul's had 37 and 41. Devin Booker's had a 40-point triple-double. So even though it might sound counterintuitive, I think the Suns are going to get a blowout in here somewhere.
What about you, Will? You like any blowouts in any of these games?
I think we might be able to see a blowout in the first game back at Fiserv Forum for the Milwaukee Bucks. I do like what Grant brought up, though, that the Suns have faced a significantly better competition throughout the playoffs. The Bucks did have their matchup against the Nets, which was a great series, but overall, the Bucks have faced the slightly worse competition compared to the Suns. But the Bucks are a great team at home. The Phoenix is a great team at home as well. I think one of these teams is probably going to have a blowout game somewhere there at their home stadium behind their in front of their home fans.
Yeah, I found it interesting looking back. I mean, both teams have actually been fairly dominant in the postseason. 12-4 for the Suns, 12-5 for the Bucks, and the Bucks eliminated the Eastern Conference champions from last year, while of course, the Suns. So, I mean, yes, I think you're right, Will and Grant, that said that the Suns have played tougher competition. I mean, Milwaukee ran through the defending Eastern Conference champions and then the Eastern Conference favorite in Brooklyn. So I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit closer than you guys think as far as the competition. I mean, Brooklyn was the favorite coming into that series and really the NBA playoffs. So I don't know. I guess maybe you're overlooking Milwaukee's. Yeah, you're right. Atlanta wasn't the team that, the Clippers, but I don't know. Any thoughts there?
I'm glad you brought that up because I am absolutely discounting their win over the Brooklyn Nets. When Harden went out, they had, I think, a 15-point lead in the third quarter. They ended up choking it and letting Kevin Durant having one of the best playoff performances in the past 20 years. They had to go to overtime of Game 7 against a team which only had one star, and that's a great star in Durant. But James Harden was playing, he wasn't even 50%. Let's be honest. He was wearing 4 compression sleeves on one leg. He couldn't defend. He refused to drive. He would have wide open transition layups. If somebody fouled him, it would be called a clear path foul. And he would pull up because he wasn't capable of even jogging. So I'm totally discounting that one. Steve Nash deserves to be fired, but that's a different conversation. I don't know how you have pretty great bench depth, and you play. I think Jeff Green was the only one to reach double-digit minutes in Game 7. Landry Shamet might have gotten a minute or two, but that was just horrible management. The Nets never should have lost that series. And then the Miami Heat, they lost a starter, Jay Crowder. I'm not saying he's the most important player, but he was a starter on that finals team. They had injuries, and really they were bubble frauds. I hate using that term because I think it is overused, but there's no way in that the Miami Heat should have made the finals last year. So I'm absolutely trusting the Suns' body of work more than the Bucks.
Okay. Will, any thoughts to that? Any additions to that?
I'll second Grant's statement on the Miami Heat. I do think there are slight bubble frauds. I mean, they got willed to the finals by Jimmy Butler's excellent performances and some great defensive games from Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo was not the same player this year that he was last year during their finals run. Jimmy Butler could not do it all himself this year. So it really showed when they faced against the Bucks in the first round. So I don't think the Miami Heat, coming off of their Eastern Conference championship, were really that much of a competition to the Bucks.
All right, so I want to get to the NBA Finals MVP here in a minute, but it looks like we got a couple questions here. How many games do we think the series will go? I'm taking Milwaukee in 6. It sounds like you guys are going 6 or 7. Grant, you're going how many games?
7. We're going the distance.
And Will, how many games?
Yeah, I think we see 7. Both these teams are great at home. I think we could see a split where we go 2 to the Suns, 2 to the Bucks, 1 back to the Suns, 1 to the Bucks, and we see a Game 7 in Phoenix.
Nice. And then Rachel wants to know, in your opinion, do the refs affect the outcome? I mean, the officials in the NBA always seem to have their hands in it. I think it's going to be anything blatant and deliberate? No. But the way the game is called, we'll find out right away which team it favors. But I don't know as if I see a huge difference because, I mean, Milwaukee, loves to shoot from the perimeter. They don't, especially without Giannis, I'm not sure they're going to get to the line all that much. So I don't see a big factor here. What are you guys' thoughts on the officials and how the game will be called tonight?
I don't, even if they call it tight, quote unquote, I don't think we're going to see a lot of free throws attempts. You talked about the Bucks style of attack, especially without Giannis, but who's the free throw threat on the Suns? I mean, obviously Chris Paul and Devin Booker can make their free throws, but Chris Paul is not going to the lane looking for contact. The only player who sort of does that on Phoenix is Devin Booker, and it's still not, that's not his thing necessarily. DeAndre Ayton, for as strong as he is, I don't want to call him soft, but he definitely doesn't seek contact. So, like I said, even if they call it quote unquote tight, we're not going to really see that affect anything until the final minute or two.
Will, your thoughts on the officiating for tonight's game and the entire series?
Yeah, I like what Grant brought up. I mean, without Giannis driving every single time for the Bucks to try to clear out the lanes and set up those 3-point shooters, there's not a lot of guys that are going to be taking the rock to the hoop to try to draw fouls for the Bucks. And he brought up a great point. Devin Booker is really the only person that looks for contact down low, and we don't have a player in this series like Trae Young who's going to be trying to draw fouls from the outside and just like try to huck up threes and then draw the contact. We don't have any players like that in this series. So I don't think we will have any big ref decisions coming in this series.
Yeah, I like it. All right, the last topic I want to get to is NBA Finals MVP. Once again, odds came courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. Chris Paul is the favorite at plus 160. I'm just going to run down a few here and then get your guys' thoughts. Devin Booker's plus 250. Giannis is plus 400. Chris Middleton plus 500. Drew Holiday plus 900. And DeAndre Ayton at plus 2,500. Will, if I gave you $100 free of charge right now and said, win me some money on the NBA Finals MVP, who are you taking?
I'm putting that money on Giannis. He's the guy for the Bucks, and I chose them to win this series. And if they win this series, it's going to be because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So he will take home the hardware if the Milwaukee Bucks do win this finals. Chris Middleton is a sneaky candidate if the Bucks do win. If he has some great games, maybe this game goes to Game 7, he puts up 38 points and has another great series closing performance. Maybe they give him the vote and pull like a Andre Iguodala type vote and give it to him over when they gave it to Iguodala over Steph Curry back with the Warriors. But I'm going to go with Giannis.
Let me just ask you real quick, Will, if he, let's say Giannis misses the first 2 games. I mean, obviously, if they lose those first 2 games and they come back and win, 4-2 or even 4-3, yes, he's probably MVP. But let's say he misses first 2 games. They split those first 2 games. Can he then become the MVP by only playing 5 of those games at most?
That's a great question, and it all depends on who steps up and how they step up for the Bucks. Because if Chris Middleton has his dud games for the Bucks, then the voters are going to be shy to vote for him when it comes to time to choose their Finals MVP if the Bucks do win. So I think if anyone does win it besides Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks win the series, it's got to be Chris Middleton. But if they're going to win this series, Giannis is going to have to play, and he's going to have to play well.
Yeah. Grant, where are you going here with the NBA Finals MVP?
Well, if you're giving me $100, I'm putting 20 or 30 of it on the Greek Freak because I'm a smart man. You got to hedge your bets, especially when you're given good odds. I like what Will said about Middleton. I don't think they can win without him, but I think there's no chance that they give him the MVP. Even if Giannis comes back and averages like 20 and 10, they have to give it to him. That Iguodala MVP thing is one of the most ridiculous MVPs that I can remember in a long time. He got it for his defensive performance on LeBron, who averaged 36, 13, and 9.
Yeah. So,
all 3 of us could go out there and we could let LeBron put up 36. Does that make us Finals MVPs? No, it doesn't. Anyway, back to the topic here. I would put the majority of my money on Devin Booker. And I know that might sound a little sacrilegious because he didn't even make an All-NBA team this year. Chris Paul made the second team All-NBA. I've gone on rants about this in the past. I think that's one of the most ridiculous things, and it's a disgrace to the integrity of the voting. The Phoenix Suns don't get anywhere near the NBA Finals without Devin Booker.
No.
He's averaging 27 points and 6 rebounds in the playoffs. He led the team in scoring during the regular season. He's led the team for 5 of his 6 years as a professional. I know Chris Paul tends to make teams better where he goes, but if you take Devin Booker off this team, they're not beating the Lakers, they're not beating the Nuggets, they're not beating the Clippers. So for them to win these finals, it's going to take Devin Booker averaging 30 or so points, and I have the Suns winning. So in my mind, there is no way that Chris Paul should be getting consideration. And I know it comes down to the narratives and the series-defining moments, but Devin Booker has those. He had the 40-point triple-double in Game 1. He had 33 points in the first half against the defending champion Lakers in the closeout game. I've got to go with Devin Booker here.
So you're going like $20 on the Greek Freak, and then like your $80 on Devin Booker.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You see, you're smart. You're going the two best players from both teams, and to me, yes, I've been burnt by many Super Bowl MVPs where it's like, yeah, this guy had a great game, but the quarterback is the MVP, and that might be the situation here. Like, it is Devin Booker or it is Giannis, one of the two. It really is no other choices. I mean, maybe that's the situation here, which I was a little surprised. Odds makers know this. Putting Chris Paul at 160 did not seem like very good value. You guys' thoughts there?
Yeah, I'll hop in there. I mean, I think it's all because of the narrative. Chris Paul comes in here; it's his first finals appearance. But going back to what Grant said, Chris Paul walked into a much better situation with the Phoenix Suns than he has with any other team that he has brought to the playoffs. I mean, last year we saw the Suns go undefeated at the bubble when they ended their season. They said they didn't make the playoffs, but you add Chris Paul to a team that is gaining momentum. Monty Williams has turned that team around when he took them over in the bubble. Then you obviously have a great team once you add Chris Paul to a team that's gaining that kind of traction. So I think he is slightly getting some overhype here, but I do like what Grant said about Devin Booker. He is the reason they are here. He is their leader on the court. I would go Devin Booker there. I don't understand the odds makers here.
Yeah. All right. Hey, so we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to ask you both trivia question once again, putting you on the spot here. I'm going to go Will first here. So, dating back to the Chris Paul trade. Now, he's been traded a couple times, and he was kind of traded one other time. But anyways, to the trade back in November of 2020, Chris Paul, who was one of the four names the Thunder received in that trade. Can you think of any of them? Don't look it up, Grant. Don't be looking it up over there.
I believe they got Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome was one of the players they got.
Bingo. Ty Jerome was one of them. Grant, you're up. Can you mention any of the four players in that trade?
Can I mention any of them?
Any of the players the Thunder received out of that, not Ty Jerome.
That the Thunder received.
Yes.
Okay, let's see here. The thing is, I know Ty Jerome like that because obviously I've got my tech gear on. He went to UVA. I know him super well. If it was any player, I know the Suns got Abdel Nader from the Thunder, which I would have gone with.
Abdel Nader, yes. There's three other guys that the Thunder received. Can you name any of them?
Kelly Oubre, right?
Kelly Oubre Jr., Rock Jock. Yep. Anybody else? There's two other guys there. I've never heard of the last guy. Jalen
LeCue.
Yeah. Yes. And the other one was the ever famous Ricky Rubio.
I was going to drop Ricky Rubio's name, but since he never really suited up for the Thunder, I didn't really think about it.
And a 2022 first-round pick from the Suns. I think the Suns like that deal. Quite a bit. And I mean, obviously next year's pick, but the Suns are still going to be good next year. That pick's not going to be a top 5 or even 10 pick. So, that was a very good deal. Chris Paul is 35 years old. I don't know what his contract reads, but Phoenix should be there for a while at least. So, anyways, all right, final thoughts from you guys on the NBA Finals, whether it's tonight's game or the series. You guys have the floor.
Will, you got it.
Nothing else from me. I'm excited to tune in 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a great game. I think we're going to see a close one here. Suns probably pull it out. But if Giannis plays, it makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, Grant, any final thoughts from you?
I mentioned it on Parlay Power Hour earlier today. I'm just excited that there's some parity in the league. People were talking about how boring it was seeing LeBron and Steph every year, and I disagree. I think it's great theater, but this is awesome. Seeing two teams compete for one team their first title ever, and the other one their first title. And I think if I'm doing my math right, it's right on 50 years. Yep. So, yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, your Virginia Tech math is correct there, Grant. Good job. Congratulations. 2021 minus 1971 would be 50 years.
I was trying to think about the months involved. I don't know if it was 49 or 50.
Yeah. No, I think you're all good there. And one more thing. You guys have absolutely just dominated Tanner in the Parlay Power Hour, haven't you?
Oh, man. You don't want to get him riled up. He's already built up enough steam with the Suns in 4, even though they didn't win in 4 last series. But he says it's a lifestyle, so he's fired up every morning.
There we go. All right, guys. Well, Grant and Will, thanks for joining me. And we'll be back sometime again talking a little NBA. And I appreciate you guys coming on and all the work you guys do for the Sports 2.0 network. And keep up the good work, fellas.
Thank you.
Yep, sounds good. All right, that is the NBA Finals preview of the Sports 2.0 show. Thanks for joining in, and appreciate all the comments during the show. Make sure you stay tuned. A bunch of shows going on throughout the week. I'm on 9:30 a.m. Central Time every day for the USA Wager Sports Brief. So long for just a while. Enjoy the NBA Finals.